Hi, everyone. I was alerted this morning to the fact that 4 horses escaped in London, and I was piqued about this story, thinking, escaped in London, 4 horses. And we had a bit of a discussion, my friends here in Massachusetts and I, and we talked about some things I didn't know about regarding a biblical story called in Revelations. I'm not much of a Bible scholar, but this is a very significant and symbolic event according to that story. It's quite similar. The story of the 4 horsemen in the Bible. So I found out the time that these horses were released and running down the streets. I had a look at a few videos. You've probably all seen it by now. It happened at 6:04 a.m. in Westminster, London. So what did I do? I drew up a chart, and I want to show you that chart and explain what I see, the questions I have, just for you to ponder, what your thoughts are about it, and to be aware. So I'm going to share my screen, and here it is. You'll see some squiggles and a chart, so I'm going to explain it to you. Now, I'll just get my pen out and make a few notes so you can see the area I'm talking. So often these kind of situations, the people behind them know a lot about astrology. And that would be my guess here because of the exact timing of it. Now, it wasn't that far off a full moon. So full moon and the sun energy sheds light on things. It's our brightest luminary. It's shedding light on the moon, and it's really just moved off. You'll see it's 6 degrees and the sun is 4 degrees. That's considered a full moon alignment. And the full moon was quite potent in terms of the square to Pluto. Pluto is actually intensifies everything that it touches, and it's in a square. See this big red line? It's squaring the sun and the moon, adding intensity to the nodal axis. It actually adds even more intensity because it rules Scorpio. Scorpio and Pluto are connected to anything that's hidden, secrets, the dark forces, the underworld, the seedy part of life, death situations. It's a massive alignment. If anything was to happen at that time, you would consider it to be significant. So I had a deeper look. On the sun, these little stars are asteroids. On the sun is an asteroid called Spirit. Obviously, Spirit's going to be about the light, and it's going to be, there's a spiritual component to this event. And on the other side is the part of Spirit. Again, another alignment involving spiritual energy. And that's right on the moon. This little one here that looks like a 2 with 2 lines coming down is called Apollon. Apollon is trans-Neptunian. It's way past Pluto, but what it does is it brings the Sagittarius and the Gemini axis together as one. So it's indicating that Apollon is the sun, Apollo is the sun god. Again, it's the light. There's a message here in this event. Apollo is the sun god. He's sitting down here. At this point, another significant point. And square to the nodal axis, the blue line, the big blue cross, is a T-square. T-squares add potency. The north node, where it looks like little earphones, is where our where we're heading, right? It's a very Martian energy where we're heading. It's Aries, North Node in Aries, and it's a very independent, driven, self-willed type energy. Loves honesty, directness. There's no wishy-washiness about it, and it's a great time to speak up. It's got Mercury right on the North Node. Mercury is about our communication. So one of the laws, as I understand it, is that when the negative power has an agenda or something that it wants to do, it has to tell us in some way. And you'll notice often movies are symbolic, songs are symbolic, and some events are very symbolic, and they reveal deeper truths if you know how to decipher them. So spirituality is often spoken in, or the light is often spoken of in creativities and parables or metaphors. Something like a dream, something in a dream might tell you something profound, but it won't say it directly. So when we're talking or expressing things spiritually, sometimes we have to take a moment to work out what it is. And there is a message here of a spiritual nature. Now, since the beginning of time, there has been a war on light and dark. So Pluto's involved, this one right up the top, and it is opposing another trans-Neptune called Vulcanus. Vulcanus takes us through the fire and purifies. Pluto does that too. I mean, there's no separation when you look at the bigger picture. We get tested by Pluto and we get to see what we're made of. So we get to see which master we will serve. Now, this story of the 4 horsemen in the Bible, I heard from some friends today as we were talking, that it's Revelation 13. The horses are in the fixed signs of Taurus, Scorpio, and Aquarius, Leo, which is this axis, right? This big axis that's happening here. And so there's an alignment there. Now, the story is to do with releasing of plagues, famine, death. Apparently, the white horse means the Christ or Antichrist. The red horse means war, bloodshed. Now, the white horse did have a lot of blood on its chest and feet. Not sure if it's paint or if it's actual blood. It was probably blood because it banged into some buses and, you know, some drama happened there and it probably got hurt. But the blood was all over the chest, heart cavity. Black horses mean, in this Revelation story, famine, and the pale horse means death. So they could well be, the negative power, as it loves to share its message, could be playing on this prophecy, having a bit of a field day, playing on this prophecy. And it's just something that I would take note of, and I did take note of. I've researched it a little bit. I, am just asking questions, and I'm just sharing this for you to consider, that it may not have been an accidental release of a horse's escaping. It may have been a release of the horses too, and a symbolic event. Now, one more thing to share as I look is the one I've just pointed to now. The combination of Uranus and Taurus has been going on for a while. That is quite, it's just big. Everything happens really big, and when they're aligned at that 22 degrees, the critical degrees, it can, it's known to, the 22 degrees, known to be the degree of extreme events, and that's also in alignment to often of a life-death nature. And it's this black arrow here is going up to Mars and Neptune, which would in Pisces translate as a spiritual war. These are just the thoughts I'm having as I look at it and consider what the deeper meaning is. We often don't go into the deeper meaning in these days because we're so focused on just the surface side of things quite often, and we forget that we come from a very deep and vast history of the light and the dark at war. It's been going on forever, and I have an easy way of identifying where the energy comes from. And whenever something is of a fearful nature or puts you into a state of having an enemy or of separation and takes you out of peace, that's usually of a darker force. A darker force or negativity is at play. Because when the light or love or creativity comes in, it comes from growth, connection, love, peace, oneness. Then I know that we are dealing with a light energy. We bounce between the two as human beings, but ultimately, if we can get to a point where we don't serve two masters, because when you think about it, if you go into a dark room and you bring the light in there, the whole room will light up. You just cannot have darkness. When the darkness comes into a light room, it has to eliminate the light. You can't eliminate the light. So if you hang on to and make that your North Star, your integrity, which is very much that North Node direction in Aries, it's like unwavering, then you walk into a dark space with your light and it is not the same. It is not dark anymore. So what we must remember is that we always have a choice. We come from this place of oneness, and the war on light and dark, we must remember we always have a choice. They'll rule you with fear. They'll tell you that you don't have a choice. But when the finger gets pointed at the negative power, it says, you always had a choice. So remember, that's the case. And we'll see what unfolds. I just think it's a significant event, and I'm sharing you the Astro on it. So I hope that's of value, and thanks for listening. You guys take care. Let me know if you need my services. I do readings. I support you. I go deep, and happy to do that for you from where I am now. And I'm here in Massachusetts, and I'll be back to Australia in July. So reach out if I can help. Take care.